Hi. Today let's talk about the chart of the 13th of September. At midnight, actually, the moon is going to reach the position of Uranus here in Gemini at 1 degree and some small minutes in Gemini. Uranus is retrograde. It's begun retrograding on the 7th of September. It's going to re-enter in Taurus for a while, and then it will come back in Gemini. And then it will stay in Gemini, even though it may retrograde again, for about 6.5 or a bit more years. In any case, it's an interesting transit, of which I will talk in length in the video that I'll make for 2026. For yourself as well, for your sign, and for the world at large, if I may say. So anyway, when the moon reaches Uranus, it's going to trigger the energy of Uranus, which is the energy of change. Now, because Uranus is retrograde, it's said to be less effective. In my opinion, it's only something that is an opinion. Because if you look at what happened during the period when Uranus was not retrograde, and compare it with the periods when Uranus is retrograde, or any planet for that matter, you'll find most probably quite difficult to really assess the fact that because the planet is retrograde, it's not going to be very favorable to what the planet represents. Mercury retrograde is a very popular type of retrogradation, and it is said to produce a lot of setbacks. You know, you postpone a meeting with someone, or you send a letter that never arrives, and so on. Compare the periods when Mercury is retrograde with the periods when Mercury is not retrograde. And if you find that there are a lot more events happening while it is retrograde that may be troubling or worrying or upsetting for many reasons, then yes, you can assess or address or accept the fact that Mercury retrograde is producing some kind of setbacks. But it's not 100% guaranteed. So before we can really say that any kind of influence is actually what's going to happen, we must, in my opinion, verify that in many occasions it happens or not. And then we can decide that it is a real influence. So Uranus represents change. Whether it is retrograde or not, it represents change. And because it is in harmony with Pluto, it indicates that the change will become a source of regeneration. And there is also a very nice configuration here, which we call a sextile with Neptune. And Neptune represents what we dream of getting in life, you know. It represents the ideal situation. It also represents the spiritual dimension of our life, the connection that we have with our soul. And maybe on that day, it could be useful to connect with our soul. So perhaps to converse about the change. What is it going to bring about? Because Saturn is next to Neptune. And there is also what we can call a sextile. The angle separating Saturn from Uranus is 62 degrees. A sextile is 60 degrees. So it is a very strong aspect, but it is a hidden aspect. And because it is hidden, either we don't see it or we don't understand it. And between Gemini, where Uranus is, and Pisces, where Saturn is, there is not a sextile, there is a square, which is a discordance. The reason is that Pisces is a water sign and Gemini is an air sign. So you can try and mix air and water. There is air in water and water in air for sure, humidity. But if you mix them together, what do you get? Water. Bubbling water, perhaps. So every time I repeat that, so that it is understood, the fact that this is a hidden aspect is actually a sextile, but it is disguised in a square. So, because Saturn represents what could actually come between us and the goal that we want to reach, to make it more difficult, for us. Thank you very much, Saturn, karmic planet. So it does that. But in that case, even if it does, we may think that it is because Uranus is retrograde. But Saturn is retrograde as well. Neptune is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde. They're all retrograde. So because they're all less efficient, perhaps. I don't think so. I think that is 13th of September may be the actual day when we can make that turn, the definite turn that will allow our life to regenerate, and it may also allow our life to realize a dream or some sort of ideal situation. That's what September 13 is allowing us. But of course, because it is midnight, 0 hour, you'd have to consider that it may be on the 12th of September during the evening, if you, of course, are located west of the universal timeline, which would be the case if you were in the United States, for example, or in Canada, because there is a difference between New York, I would say, and the universal timeline, which would be about 4 or 5 hours, perhaps. The moment when the moon aligns with the position of Uranus in Gemini is not necessarily a moment when something as such is going to happen, whether you do something or not to make it happen. But if you have a decision to make, if that moment, that day is in line with what you want to achieve in life, it would be very advisable to make the move on that particular day, because it may have that influence on Uranus at least almost for the whole day, at least for 12 hours, because in 12 hours the moon moves by 6 degrees only around the zodiac. So it's only going to be around here, not very far from Uranus. It's still in conjunction with Uranus. It's still triggering and making it more excited. And Uranus is very electrical, so it's perhaps through some sort of original idea that you may have that suddenly you will feel that you've got it. It's the moment when you actually will most probably make the move. If there is a move to make, of course, but there may be a move to make that you don't really know already today, watching this video. Unless you watch this video after the 13th of September, so then perhaps you can relate to what I said, to what you went through on that day. But for many people, nothing's going to happen. It happens much more to people who are connected with the energies of the planets. But some people will find themselves in situations that are extremely unusual, unexpected, original, and very interesting. Because the configurations here, the trine with Pluto, the sextile with Neptune, and the full sextile with Saturn, well, shows that there is a great potential, but it is going to last. Because even though the moon is going to move away quite quickly from Gemini, it will remain for about 2.5 days in Gemini, that's all. But Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto will remain in connection for a much longer time. So that means that we are already in this type of atmosphere: change, regeneration, the dream that may come true or not, and what we are able to do concretely to make it happen. So we have choices to make. On that day, the 13th of September, or the 12th during the evening, what you are going to choose to do will definitely make the difference. And then after that, the moon will continue on transiting around the zodiac, and the next configuration that I will analyze for you is when it reaches Jupiter, which is here at 19 degrees in Cancer. So that will be in another video posted on this channel. Thank you very much for watching this one. I remind you about the fact that you may be wanting to have a reading made by myself or by Lucas. Then don't hesitate to visit our website and you will find the information to do so. If you want to learn astrology, there is a course online as well that is designed for people who want to really get into astrology in a very serious manner. So just visit our website and you will find all the information needed to do so. And don't forget my books if you want to learn, or if you want to discover another way of dealing with astrology. My books are available on Amazon. Well, thank you very much. See you soon. Bye for now. Take care.